Hello and welcome to Always Bored Never Boring. One of the really lovely aspects of running this channel, something I never ever expected, is that with surprising regularity I receive nice gifts from awesome people. Point in question, I have here a set of HeroQuest Dreadveil dice in a presentation tin with a scroll dice mat. These were sent to me as a gift by Andrew Bohrer. Andrew resides in the US and was kind enough to pick up an extra set of the dice for me, wanting nothing in return except a shout out for his hobby haunt of choice, Meeple's Games in Seattle, which is apparently a really cool shop that you should check out if you're in the area. If you don't know the backstory of these dice, they were originally only available from Avalon Hill at Gen Con 2023, where they were being given to customers who made a purchase or pre-order. Naturally, this caused a bit of upset among the HeroQuest community. Many people had already missed out on the Commander of the Guardian Knight retailer exclusive, and now they were missing out on a new dice set. While the dice and the dice scroll don't bring any new gameplay elements to the table, they are nonetheless desirable collectibles, and it shouldn't have come as a surprise to Avalon Hill that people would be annoyed that they might miss out. Eventually, Hasbro did try to do something about it. They made the dice and scroll available for direct purchase on the Hasbro Pulse website for $34.99, and indeed you can hop over there right now and still place an order. I will put a link in the video description below for reference. Unfortunately, this is not a complete solution. At the time of making this video, the collectibles only appear on the US version of the Pulse site, forcing anybody in other territories to jump through hoops using reshipping companies in order to get them. So I had sort of washed my hands of the situation. I was ever so slightly bothered that there wasn't an easy way for me to get the dice, but as they weren't shipping with any new gameplay material, I decided it wasn't worth pursuing them any further. Enter Andrew, who took it upon himself to purchase them and send them to me. Such a super nice thing to do. First of all, we have our Dreadveil dice in the presentation tin. The tin itself is okay. It measures 4 inches by 2.75 inches and it has wraparound art from the Rise of the Dreadmoon expansion. The Hasbro logo is on the reverse, but there's no sign of the Avalon Hill logo, probably because I'm not sure they had much to do with these. The front of the tin features a thin plastic window to almost sort of show off the dice. It's a bit weird. The window isn't quite large enough, or the dice are too widely spaced, to showcase the dice correctly. It feels a bit like a repurposed tin design that does the job but not quite as well as it could. If we remove the lid, we can see there is plenty of room inside for a set of 2 themed movement dice. I think it would have been really nice to have those included, as while they aren't essential, it would have made the whole presentation feel a bit more complete. But I do suppose it should be noted that of all the dice sets released so far, only the dice from the core set and the icy themed set from the Frozen Horror expansion included movement dice. So I do think Frozen Horror is the exception, not the rule, and we shouldn't be expecting more movement dice in future sets. The dice themselves are very pretty, probably the prettiest we have seen for the game so far, but also, most certainly, the least functional. They have a blue and purple glittering swirl inside them, and then the embossed symbols are coloured with purple. This makes them quite difficult to read, especially in less than excellent lighting. Nevertheless, they are usable, and with them in my collection, I now have 5 full sets of combat dice. White for the dwarf, icy blue for the barbarian, green for the elf, orange for the wizard, and purple for Zargon. That means none of the players at my table will have to share their combat dice with anyone else, although they will have to share their movement dice on those turns when they aren't using the unthreatened movement rule. Overall, I am happy to have these dice. They are a unique collectible for one of my favourite games, which makes them a worthwhile addition to my collection, but I do feel that perhaps a few corners were cut. Just little things like not including movement dice and spacing the combat dice so they don't show inside the tin's display window makes it feel like there could have been a bit more care in the final presentation. The HeroQuest dice scroll is a more unusual collectible, and I have to say it is surprisingly nice. The craftsmanship seems really good and it feels like a quality product. It has the embossed HeroQuest logo and it's held securely closed with 2 poppers. The swing tag features the Rise of the Dreadmoon art, and on the reverse we have the Hasbro logo again with a choking hazard warning. Choking hazard. If you undo the poppers and roll out the scroll, you have a relatively soft surface for rolling your dice with a zippered storage compartment along one of the short edges. I was a bit dubious about this. The scroll takes a while to lay perfectly flat, the surface area is only approximately 13 by 10 inches, and it doesn't have anything to stop the dice rolling off the sides. It seemed to me like it would be something that was more of a collectible than a functioning tool. However, in use, the scroll isn't too bad. The surface has a soft, slightly ridged texture that will not only protect your dice, but also take some of the travel out of them. Unless you absolutely belt the dice onto the scroll or drop them from a great height, they will generally only tumble a few times before coming to rest, so they don't tend to roll off the edges. If you roll lengthways across the mat towards the storage compartment, I can't see the dice ever escaping. I have made my own dice trays for years, but they are not particularly convenient for travel. This scroll definitely is, and I was generally way more impressed with it than I thought I would be. The dice storage compartment has a sturdy zip. Again, it's all really well made, and it's quite spacious. I managed to squeeze in 14 dice. That's 2 full sets of 6 combat dice, plus a couple of movement dice. Not too shabby. All told, I would say this is a bit of a mixed bag. The presentation and coloration of the dice isn't top tier, but I am still very happy to have access to 5 different colours of combat dice. Meanwhile, the scroll, which I thought was going to be a bit of a gimmick, actually seems really well made and more functional than it has any right to be. Ultimately, I'm happy with that. Is it worth the money to buy them though? That I don't know. Collectibles like this tend to skew high in terms of pricing, and it's often not as easy to see the value. The value is more debatable, I suppose, as owning these products certainly isn't going to dramatically change your HeroQuest experiences in any meaningful way. Not like buying a new quest pack or a new hero pack would. And $34.99 isn't cheap, especially when you consider the new Against the Ogre Horde expansion is retailing for just $10 more and will bring so much more to your tabletop. But I think most dice collectors, completionists, and HeroQuest fans in general would want a set of these anyway. And indeed, I am very happy to have fans like Andrew Bohrer. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because that is it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, please consider pressing the like button. If you really like the video, please consider subscribing if you don't already do so. And hopefully, I'll see you all again very soon. Bye bye everyone. Bye bye.